morning or afternoon. Welcome back. No, it's morning for us. We're reviewing day 5 really quickly. Okay, and just make sure that we have our 3 steps written down. I found a little bit of space on day 5 notes. These 3 steps are perfect things for you to add to your little 3x5 cheat sheet answer card thing notes that you get to take into testing quizzes. So steps for solving absolute value. Step 1, isolate it, that absolute value. Step 2, rewrite it as that positive version and that negative version. Make sure you don't write the absolute values. Solve each of those. Step 3, check your solutions. Okay? So if you want to grab a quick pick of this, jot this down in your notes. Again, this is something that's perfect for that 3x5 index card that you get to take into testing quizzes. Okay? This little thing right here. Not this stuff, this stuff. All right. I would like to offer a practice on anything on either the day 5 notes or the day 5 assignment that you were like, I'm struggling with this one question. And if I could just get some help to start it, I think I'll be perfect. So looking at either your day 5 notes or your day 5 assignment, I'm happy to run one example for you. Just let me know which one you want to do. And we'll figure out if I've learned to count yet. You can choose from the assignment today, yeah. Number 8 on the assignment. Number 8 on the assignment looks like this one. So this will be the one that I work out for you. And I'm going to do that on my line sheet of paper. So this is Unit 9, Day 5, question number 8. All right, let me turn off my music there in the back. So, step number 1, is the absolute value isolated? No, so I need to isolate it. I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. And my absolute value now looks like this. Now that I've isolated it, I'm going to rewrite it once in a positive version, once in a negative version. Once I do this rewriting, I no longer have an absolute value. And I saw that on a few things when I was wandering around yesterday. I was trying to catch what I could. Please don't forget that when you're rewriting, you no longer have the absolute values. Okay? So the positive version is I'm just going to use whatever sign is already given. The negative version is I'm going to change the sign from what was given. Okay? So that's what I'm calling the positive version and the negative version is keep the sign, change the sign. Okay? I'm going to solve each of these. I'm only going to do one of them. I'm going to work with the negative version for you. I have a fraction. How do I get rid of fractions?
Divide, multiply by the denominator.
Beautiful. Multiply by the denominator. And the result is a negative 8. I need to check this against what was given. Okay. Was looking around a little bit yesterday, continued to look around earlier today, and I noticed that another issue that was happening here on the check is that you were grabbing from here, and you're checking this one. You need to come all the way back to the beginning and check from what was given to you at the very beginning. So here's kind of what's happening. We're giving you something, and you were creating some new things to find some observations. Okay? Once you've got your observations, you need to check to see if this is right, not against what you created, but against what was given to you originally. To check to see if what you made works. Okay? So don't forget to go all the way back to the very beginning equation when you're doing your checks. Okay? All right, I'm going to substitute into here. Everywhere I see an x, I'm going to replace it with this value of x that I created. And now I'm just doing my arithmetic. I divided inside the absolute value. I'm going to apply the absolute value, remembering the absolute value asks how far away is this number from 0? 1 unit. And 1 plus 4 is 5.
And that's correct.
And it's correct, which means that x equals negative 8 is a solution. Notice how I didn't box that in until after I checked that it was a solution. Okay? Feeling better about that? Yeah? All right, good. Let's go on to day 6, the homework, not the notes. I'm still looking at the homework assignment. This time we're looking at day 6. And it's because I want to actually work out with you number 4. Okay? Because number 4, while it's the same process, looks a little different than what we've seen so far. Day 6. This is day 6, assignment, question number 4. So day 6, assignment, question number 4. Oh my God, I have 2 absolute values. Worse, oh my God, I have an absolute value on either side of the equal sign. What? Relax, process is the same. I'm going to isolate the absolute value. Good job, I did it. Because there isn't anything around the absolute value on either side of the equal sign. Pat myself on the back. I did it. I'm good. Now that I've done that, I need to rewrite this absolute value. And yes, I'm going to rewrite it only twice. And I'm going to rewrite it once with a positive version and once with a negative version. Exactly like what we've been doing. But this time, I'm going to trade the absolute values for parentheses to preserve the groups, the little cliques of numbers that I've got going on. Okay? So these 2 are in a gang together. These 2 are in a gang together. I've replaced my absolute values with parentheses. Here in front, I'm going to leave the sign alone. It's a positive, so it's a positive. Basically, I'm not writing anything. So there's one version. That's my positive version. Then I'm going to write my negative version. It's exactly the same thing, except I'm putting in a negative sign right there. Okay? So now I have a positive version and I have a negative version. Ask your questions right here, because this is the part that can get kind of crazy. This is the weirdness. Is this okay? Okay. The weirdness is all right? All right. I feel really comfortable that you can get this one solved. So I'm going to focus on this one, because the techniques to solve this one will give you the other one. Okay? All right. On this first set of parentheses, I don't need them. I only need parentheses if I have something multiplying out here. I don't have anything multiplying out there, so I can rewrite it without the parentheses and everyone's happy. The next set of parentheses I do need, but I want to get rid of them. So,
negative 2x plus 2.
So I'm going to distribute this negative symbol. And as he said, I get a negative 2x plus 2. And now it's in a form that's much easier for me to solve. I'm going to collect all my x's to one side of the equation. I'm going to shove all my numbers to the other, do any kind of divisions or things that I need to do, and get down to x equals a number.
After 7, which is x equals negative 2x plus 9.
I'm going to add the 2x to both sides right here. That's going to get rid of it on this side, giving me 3x over here. And at the same time, I'm going to add 7 from this side to get rid of it here, so that it shows up as a 9 on the other side.
So we divide by 3.
I added the 2x to both sides, and I went ahead and added 7 to both sides as well to get rid of this minus 7 over here on the left. Divide both sides through by 3, and I get x equals 3. I do need to go through and check this. Remember, I'm not checking what I've created. I'm checking what I created against what I was given originally. So I'm going to rewrite that. Everywhere I see an X, I'm going to replace it with the number 3. Right now I can do my arithmetic. 3 minus 7 is negative 4. 2 times 3 is 6. The absolute value of negative 4 is 4. 6 minus 2 is 4. The absolute value of 4 is 4. Those two are a match. X equals 3 is a solution.
Oh.
No, once you get to the point where you can physically see, oh, I know these are going to be a match, you can stop and put your check marks. I'm going through all the way down because, you know, this is teacher mode and I've got to make sure it's like very, very specifically clear. Yeah, but on your work, once you get it to the point where you see it, you can pause. Cool?
Cool.
All right. So I think most of day 6 you can handle. There's a few items on day 6 that's new that we need to talk about, and that's coming from your notes on day 6. It's the notes that look something like this. The notes look something like this. Woo, and it's blurry. Welcome to my mornings. There we go. All right, day 6 notes. On this one, we're talking about solving absolute value inequalities. Okay, so instead of having the equal sign, we're going to have a minus or a less than or a greater than symbol. The process is the same. Your 3 steps are the same with only a few changes. The first step, always going to be isolate your absolute value, and then you're going to rewrite it. But this time you're writing 2 inequalities. And this is where the minor change happens. Do you remember how I said we had a positive version and a negative version? And that positive version, I really meant I'm keeping the sign the same from what I had the first time. There it is. And then the negative version was change the sign. When you change the sign, you have to also change the symbol. Okay, so
Positive and less than.
yeah, what we're talking about here is if we have originally a positive, so it's less than positive. When we flip that positive to a negative, we have to also flip the symbol, so it
Make it
becomes
greater.
greater than negative.
Okay, yeah.
Okay? And that's also going to happen if the other direction. Okay? All right, let's practice one of these that has that flipping thing. Example number 5 has a flip that's going to happen. So let's go ahead and do that. So on my other sheet of paper, this is Unit 9, Day 6, example number 5. I learned how to count on this one. I'm so proud of myself. There's only one number 5. And this example looks like that. Step number 1 is my absolute value isolated. Yes, so I don't need to do anything. Now I get to rewrite. Okay? So I'm going to rewrite once is the keep the sign version, which we're calling the positive version. Notice how this is exactly the same. I know it's negative, but I'm calling it the positive version because I'm not making changes. And then I'm going to write the negative version. I know this is positive, but I'm calling it the negative version because I'm making a change. Okay? So we've got the version that I didn't change and the version that I did change. All right. Now I'm going to solve each of these as normal. Okay? And again, notice that there's no absolute values. Divide through both sides by 6. When you divide through by a positive, you don't make a change to the symbol. When you divide through by a negative, you do change the absolute value symbol. I divided through by a positive, so there's no change to my symbol here. Okay? All right. Good news, you don't have to check. The check the solutions turns into draw the solutions. So we get to have our,
Wait, so when you divide, like, the 6 was to be a negative, and you have to switch to the next side.
yes ma'am. What if we had this instead? We're dividing through by a negative, and so I'm going to flip the sign. All right, we've replaced the check the solutions with a draw the solutions. And so as I'm looking at my solutions, I see one is positive and one is negative. So I want at the very least a landmark where the 0 is. Then I want each of my solutions. And then I'm going to draw. Looking at the -4 solution, do I include it?
No.
Good. No, I do not. I exclude it because I don't have the bar underneath to say or equal to. Open circle. The 4, do I include it?
Yes.
No, because I don't
Oh.
have the 9 underneath it. Now, if I look at this symbol, it tells me which direction to shade. If I, yep, it's pointing to the right, so I'm going to shade it to the right. And I'm going to go until I run into a barrier, which is my circle. Now at 4, it tells me which direction to shade, so I'm going to go to 4, and I'm going to shade in that direction. It's technically already shaded, so I didn't have to do anything. But I went ahead and colored it anyway, because dark is pretty. That's it. That's it. That's it. Instead of checking. The inequalities, you do not need to check them. You do need to draw the solutions. Does anyone want to see another example of this, either that has a fraction or you've got to do some isolating before you get to rewriting? Number 8 on the example. So this is Unit 9, Day 6. Example number 8. Again, I learned how to count. This is the same example that we did, I think, yesterday when it was the equalities. So it's going to be the same sort of idea, except now we have it as an inequality. So we got to do those minor changes. Okay. So first step is still the same. Isolate your absolute value. I'm going to add 2. I'm going to get rid of that fraction. I'm going to multiply by 3, and then I'm going to divide by 2. Okay? Multiply by 3, then divide by 2. A lot of you have said you can get rid of fractions by multiplying by the reciprocal. That's basically what we're doing. I like breaking it up into 2 steps because sometimes I don't want to get rid of the entire fraction like that, and that could create more. Sometimes I want to just like get rid of the denominators. Okay? You could do it either way. Whichever way works in the moment. I'm going off of memory. Please punch the buttons in your calculator. Do it step by step in your head. But if memory serves from yesterday, that was the result. And I don't have my notes from yesterday, so I can't check. Okay, we'll go with it. Now I can rewrite my 2 versions. Okay? One version where I don't make a change to this tail end, and then one version where I do make a change to the tail end.
So it doesn't affect the line underneath?
It does not affect the line underneath, no.
Okay.
Great question. Okay, I'm going to solve each one.
can do.
And then I'm going to divide, here I'm dividing through by a negative. So this goes back to your question from earlier. Dividing through by a negative changes the direction of the inequality symbol. Do you need a pencil?
So it changes it back.
Yeah, it changes it back to.
Okay.
All right, here we go. I'm going to be doing this one. Again, we are dividing through by a negative on this one here on the right, and so it flipped my inequality symbol. I don't need to check on these, thank goodness, but I do need to draw them.
I like doing values.
I like drawing them too.
Better than the other ones. Those are like really quick.
Yeah, these are really quick.
Because they're easy.
I have a positive and a negative solution, so I want one of my guideposts to be 0, and then you do not have to write these to scale at all, just YOLO throw them somewhere, as long as you're consistent about where the negative and positives are in relation to 0. All right, am I including negative 6?
Yes.
Yes, because I have the little 6 underneath. Am I including 48 over 5?
Yes.
Yes, because I have the or equal to bar underneath, and then I'm going to color in between. Because from the negative 6, I'm going to color to the right, and from the 48 over 5, I'm coloring to the left. Dunsies. I have one last question for you. If you look on your notes at the very bottom, it says evaluating. I just want to check to see, does anyone want to see this evaluation? This evaluation is going to feel almost exactly like what we were doing when you were checking, where you would plug in a number into X and then crank it down so you got a number. Okay? Yeah, you're going to substitute and then run the things. Does anyone want to see that, or are you comfortable do it on your own? I've got one person wanting to see. Okay. All right, let's do it. Maybe the one with the fraction? Yes, please. I'm guessing really good, aren't I? I can guess. All right, so I've been asked to do d of x, which is 20 over that mess, minus 5. I've been asked to evaluate at d of 10. That means anywhere I see an x in my function, I'm going to replace it with a 10. All right, I'm going to crank through here because we're going to have a lot of fractions stacking up on each other. I'm just going to put squiggly lines between them to make it easier to keep track of each of my steps. I'm going to do the arithmetic inside of the absolute value. And I'm just going to keep doing that, making one change on arithmetic per step until I am done and I have nothing more to do inside the absolute value. Right, nothing more to do inside the absolute value, so I'm going to actually do absolute value now. The absolute value of 40 is 40. Yay, absolute value is gone. Time to evaluate the fraction. 20 over 40 is the same as 1/2. And then I'm going to do my subtraction. 1/2 minus 5 is the same as negative 4.5. Which is the same as negative 4.5, which is the same as negative 9 over 2. I don't care how you write these at this point. Okay, any one of those 3 answers makes me happy, depending on what the next step is. If there's a next step, will change which one I decide that I really want to write it in. I tend to lean toward these personally, but your choice. Any other questions? All right, that's all I had today. Thanks.
Thank you.